As you settle in for dinner, I'm going to call the chairman of the Hobey Baker Award Committee up here to welcome you tonight and make a few acknowledgments. Please help me welcome Lance Madsen, the chairman of the Hobey Baker Award Committee.
Welcome again, everyone, to the Hobey Baker Memorial Award Banquet. We are very pleased that you have joined us this evening to recognize some outstanding accomplishments in the game of college hockey. Tonight, we are here to celebrate this year's award recipient, Matt Gilroy from Boston University, a truly outstanding young man. His college hockey career complete and one an ending, Matt recently signed with the New York Rangers. We're also here to honor this year's legend of college hockey, Don Roberts from Gustavus Adolphus College. Don founded the program at Gustavus and coached the Gusties with great success for 33 years until his retirement in 1997. At this time, I'd like to take a few minutes to recognize some of the special guests in attendance here tonight. With us tonight is our founder, Chuck Bard. We also have Ronak Shah from Mazumba Sporting Goods and Apparel. Mazumba is the official sponsor of the Hobey Baker Memorial Award. I'd like to welcome the Minnesota Wild, whose support in carrying out our mission we are so thankful to have. The Wild's support comes in many different ways, and it is great to have them as a partner. A few who continuously help us out along the way are Matt Maka, Roger Godin, Brad Bombardier, and Billy Robertson. Thank you, Wild, for everything you do for us. I'd like to welcome Jostens and Travis Dundor and his colleagues from Jostens. Jostens produces the beautiful Hobey Baker trophy that we award every year, as well as the impressive ring that is presented to our recipients. Thank you, Jostens. Welcome to Jay Kim and his colleagues from Dorsey and Whitney, who provide the legal services for the Hobey Baker Memorial Award Foundation. Thank you, Jay. Welcome to George Carroll from Interlaken, who supports us at our banquet every year. Thanks, George. We are very happy to have Coach Jack Parker from the 2009 National Champion Boston University Terriers. Thank you. We are also very happy to have 4 former Hobey Baker Memorial Award recipients in attendance tonight. Bill Watson, Rob Stauber, Brian Bonnen, who unfortunately couldn't join us for dinner, but he was here at the cocktail hour, and Jordan Leopold. Thank you for your continued support and promotion. Welcome to everyone who traveled from out of town to be here tonight, including the Don Roberts family and all the Gustavus Adolphus alumni who are here to support their coach. I just want to express my sincere thank you to the Hobey Baker Foundation for asking me to serve as chairman this year. This year it's truly been an honor and a privilege to lead this committee in the efforts in presenting this prestigious award. Our committee is an all-volunteer committee whose efforts in making everything happen is truly Herculean. The members of our committee work tirelessly tending to all the details that go into all the events that we carry out each year. I especially want to thank my fellow officers this year, Vice Chairman and this year's Banquet Chairman, Gary Haugen, and Secretary Katie Tobin, whose dedication this year helped the year go smoothly. And then special thank you to my wife, Ann, who stepped in to help whenever she was needed, and whose help and encouragement got me through the whole thing out in D.C. Thank you. Our selection committee once again did a fine job in selecting our hat trick honorees. In addition to Matt Gilroy, our hat trick included Matt's teammate, Colin Wilson, as well as Brad Thiessen from Northeastern University. The award committee enjoyed getting to know these fine young men at the Frozen Four and our award presentation show that was broadcast on ESPNU. And just before I finish up here, how about that championship game this year? We really were treated to a great come-from-behind win by Boston University, and our award recipient, Matt Gilroy, played a huge part in that victory with his assist on the game-tying goal in the last minute of regulation. And we know that we've got a great winner in Matt. And welcome, everyone. Thanks again to everyone for attending this banquet, and relax and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
You know, that game, if you're a hockey fan, you really can't ask for anything more exciting than the way that finished. But I got to tell you an honest-to-God true story about what happened to me. I'm a huge hockey fan, and I was watching that game even though I didn't have a dog in the hunt since Bemidji State was out of it, and the Gophers didn't even get to the NCAA. So there was about a minute and a half left, and they were down by 2 goals, and I thought, well, this game's over. And my 6-year-old daughter, Caroline, had been pestering me to play a game with her. So I said, all right, and she wanted to play up in her room. So I go up to her room and completely lost track of the game. Literally did not know for about 6 hours that Boston University had come back and won that game. Now, when they were in the process, when Matt was in the process of having the highlight probably of his entire hockey career, it will be hard to top that even in the NHL. I was playing Pretty Princess up in my daughter's room. I think I had at least one earring on, and I think there was a bracelet. I can't even believe I'm telling you this, but I'm a little embarrassed by it, but I feel like I'm in a confession. I should be over at Assumption Church across the street to finish this up. But anyway, that was an exciting game. I mean, they don't get any sport, I don't care what it is, you don't see sheer drama and excitement like you did in that game. It was just truly exciting. Now, of course, in Miami of Ohio, they're saying a whole different thing, but we don't need to get into that right now. Let's call up one of our past Hobey Baker Award winners who is going to say a few words to us tonight. Bill Watson, the 1985 Hobey Baker Award winner from the University of Minnesota Duluth. Bill, come on up.
First of all, I want to thank the Hobey Baker Foundation for inviting us past winners back to this. It's always nice to come back. I feel guilty that it's been so long. I want to in particular thank Lance and Kevin for getting us back here. It's always a great night to see some old friends from a long, long time ago. For me, it's a little longer than most, but first and foremost, we're proud to have Matt join our crew. There's a very unique, I think there's 29 of us now, so it's welcome aboard, Matt. We at the University of Minnesota Duluth, we're very proud to have 4 past winners. We happen to be tied in the country with our sister school down here at the University of Minnesota. I was able to get a little background on Matt as I was preparing to speak tonight, talking to some old friends at Boston University. Coach Parker and I were talking a little bit earlier. I was about this close to being a BU Terrier. I was very, very close to going out there. I know I would have had a great experience with Coach Parker, who I think is as good a coach as there is in college hockey. Matt comes from a big family, similar to mine. Some things have happened to Matt along the way. That's why he wears number 97, and it's a great honor. Unfortunately, I lost a brother at a very tough age, too, and it's numbing, and I admire your courage that you went through in life. Coach Parker told me a little story the other day about Matt. He would have been happy. Matt had a lot of offers after his junior year to sign and play pro hockey. But Coach said he would have just been happy to have him back and just be a captain in his locker room, never mind his skills on the hockey rink, how good he was. So that speaks volumes of Matt. One quick story about Matt and some feedback that I got from Coach Parker. I had a chance a while back to listen to Pat Williams, who's involved with the Orlando Magic, and he talked about the ingredients of a great team and what it takes, and one of the steps was respect. And the steps in respect are trust, loyalty, love, and friendship. And everything that Coach Parker talks about, Matt exemplified at Boston University for his club. I think that's why he's here tonight and honoring him. Matt, on behalf of us former winners, I welcome you to the most exclusive club in college hockey. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Bill. Some great words of encouragement to Matt. I'm sure he enjoyed that. And again, welcome to the Hobey winners who are here from years past. I met Jordan Leopold a little bit ago, a great guy. And of course, the first thing he asked me was what's going to happen with that U.S. Senate race. So I like to see that there are hockey players keeping up with current events. That's always encouraging. Next, we're going to get to dinner here in just a minute. We've got a couple more things to get through here before we have dinner, and then we'll get on with the program and the awards ceremony. Next, I would like to call Jim Nichols to the stage for the Honorary Foundation Awards. Jim, come on up.
Thank you, Tom. On behalf of the Hobey Baker Memorial Award Foundation, I'd like to extend a special warm welcome to all of our banquet attendees and to all folks here from out of town. Welcome to the great state of hockey. Congratulations, Matt, on an outstanding season, and to Coach Roberts on an outstanding career. Matt, we trust that you'll enjoy your evening and it'll be long be remembered. Each year, the Hobey Baker Memorial Award Foundation proves to be an exciting and memorable experience. This year is no exception, in that we have recently signed a 4-year agreement with Mazamba Worldwide as the official sponsor of the Hobey Baker Memorial Award. We're extremely pleased with the excitement, enthusiasm, and passion that Ronik Shah, CEO of Mazamba, has brought to our new partnership. At this time, I'd like to call on our Director of Development and the newly crowned Class A coach of the Class A champions, Breck Mustangs, Les Larson. While Les is coming up here, I'd like to recognize our past Outstanding Service Award winners, if they just stand, please. Jack Almquist, Chuck Bard, Cy Laurent, Russ Mattson wasn't able to make it tonight, Bob Negley, and Coach Murray Williamson. If you'd stand up to be recognized. All right. And at this time, Les, if you'd step forward. And
Thanks, Jim. As Lance mentioned earlier, we are a voluntary nonprofit organization, and we depend upon people who have a passion for hockey, character, and sportsmanship to make this whole thing work. And from time to time, we recognize exemplary service of some members that have been around for a long time that have really set the tradition of the Hobey Baker Committee and the Hobey Baker Foundation. So at this time, for brevity's sake, we're going to honor 3 people this evening. So I'm going to call them up and then say a few words about each one. And at the end, I would hope that you would join me and give them a big round of applause of congratulations. So could I have C. David Jones, Dal Holmberg, and Jack Carlson please approach the podium. Up on the stage. David Jones, long tenure with Hobey Baker, goes way back to the decathlon days. Held a lot of different positions and capacities with both the committee and the foundation. He was the committee chair in 1998 when a young man by the name of Chris Drury of Boston University won the Hobey Baker Award. Currently, David serves as the secretary of the Hobey Baker Foundation, and his biggest claim to fame is you see a lot of people walking around with these ties and blazers on. David has probably recruited more volunteers for our organization than anyone else. So congratulations, David. Next is Dal Holmberg. One thing about Hobey Baker is we always pick the right guy. We always pick the right guy. And that guy has to be an outstanding hockey player, but most of all, he's got to be an outstanding person, outstanding individual. Dal Holmberg has headed up our selection process for at least 10 years and beyond. My tenure is only 10 years, and I know you were doing this before that. And that's not an easy task. He's the guy who works with the Division I coaches, trying to get ballots back. He's the guy who works with the selection committee, makes sure that they're geographically represented. He's the guy who runs the conference call. And it works every time. It works every time. We have 29 great winners. Dell was the chairman of the committee in 1996 when Brian Bonnen of the University of Minnesota won the award. Dell, you do the most important job that we do. We select the right guy every year, and a lot of that is due to your hard work and dedication. Congratulations. So you do get something. Last but not least, Jack Carlson has graced us with his intellectual wit and charm for years, and he has also bored us to death with stories of the 1942-43 University of Illinois AAU National Championship hockey team. Vic Heilinger coached that team or was on that team?
He coached that team.
Jack talks about it so much, I almost want to think that he was the student manager on that team. I don't know. Jack has been around Hobey for, going back again to the decathlon days. He was the committee chair in 2001 when Ryan Miller of Michigan State, when he won the award. And more importantly, that was the year that we transitioned from the decathlon club to the partnership with the Minnesota Wild. And it's been a wonderful partnership. But I doubt very much, without Jack's fine leadership, if that transition wasn't going to be seamless like it was. It was an easy transition, and it was because of Jack's leadership during that year. So Jack, in spite of the University of Illinois stories, congratulations.
Congratulations again to all of those gentlemen who've done so much for this organization and really make all this possible, to honor people like Matt Gilroy tonight. Up next, Mayor Coleman, who is ordinarily here, could not make it. So we have a declaration of Hobey Baker Day, correct? It's a good thing they got a political reporter here. I've got to do the proclamation for the mayor and for the governor. So they will be getting bills in the mail. This is the City of St. Paul proclamation. Whereas Hobey Baker, the ultimate collegiate athlete of his day, entered Princeton University in 1910, where he captained the hockey and football teams, and whereas Hobey Baker served his country in World War I, but was tragically killed in an air accident after the war, yet his legend lives on as a member of the College Football Hall of Fame and the Canadian and American Hockey Halls of Fame. And whereas the Hobey Baker Memorial Award Foundation annually presents the Hobey Baker Memorial Award to the top men's collegiate hockey player in America, recognizing not only a player's outstanding skills necessary for the game, but his strength of character on and off the ice, scholastic achievement, and sportsmanship. And whereas the 2009 recipient of the Hobey Baker Memorial Award is three-time All-American senior captain Matt Gilroy of the 2009 national champion Boston University Terriers. And whereas St. Paul is honored to be the home of the Hobey Baker Memorial Award, now, therefore, I, not necessarily Mayor Chris Coleman, Mayor of the City of St. Paul, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May 7th, 2009 to be Hobey Baker Day in the City of St. Paul. They're taxing my reading skills and my eyesight skills. This is good. Good to be tested every now and then. This is the State of Minnesota proclamation, Matt. Whereas The Hobey Baker Memorial Award was established in 1981 through the efforts of the Decathlon Club, original sponsors of the award, and the Hobey Baker Memorial Award Committee. And whereas the Hobey Baker Memorial Award annually recognizes the most outstanding male collegiate hockey player in the nation, and whereas the City of St. Paul is recognized as the official home of the Hobey Baker Memorial Award Foundation, and whereas, in addition to possessing great hockey skills, each award winner must exhibit team leadership, academic excellence, outstanding sportsmanship, integrity on and off the ice, and community involvement. Now, therefore, I, Tim Pawlenty, Governor of Minnesota, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May 7th, 2009, as Hobey Baker Memorial Award Day in the state of Minnesota, and congratulate this year's Hobey Baker Memorial Award winner, Matt Gilroy of Boston University. And now from President Barack Obama. No, I'm kidding. He's a little too busy for all the whereases, apparently, so we've run completely out of whereases. I'm going to call up someone even more important than Barack Obama right now for our invocation before we have dinner. The 1982 committee chairman, Cy Laurent. Please come up for the invocation.
It was my pleasure and a great blessing to hear both Matt Burke and Tony Dungy speak last month. I was not surprised to learn that faith has been a big part of their lives. Without it, in their opinion, they would have not accomplished their individual successes. Matt Gilroy, our honoree this evening, has shared with me a similar conviction. Faith already is an important part of his young life. Faith is not just for old folks like me, who, it could be said, are cramming for the finals. No, none of us can be all that we can be without faith. Each one of us is a child of God, and as such, there is a spark of the divine in us, which, if developed, will fulfill the promise of a more abundant life. The refrain from a wonderful song by John Bell is, "Take, oh take me as I am, summon out what I shall be. Set your seal upon my heart and live in me." From the 127th Psalm, I quote, "Happy are all who fear the Lord and walk in his ways. You shall enjoy the fruits of your labor. You will prosper and be happy." With my PhD in common sense and practical experience, which has served me very well, I could but won't write a thesis that would suggest that without faith, we're not whole. If not whole, we are disadvantaged. The formula for a fruitful life is faith plus hope plus charity, known as love, equals joy. In closing on this National Day of Prayer, let us bow and reflect upon the following from the 91st Psalm. "Because you cleave to me in love, I will deliver you. I will protect you who call upon my name. When you call to me, I will answer you. I will be with you in times of trouble. I will rescue you and reverence your life. All through the years will I dwell in your heart as a loving companion presence forever." Amen. Not in your program, but I have authority to ask for one more minute to recognize Steve Cannon, a colloquial hero who died this past April 6th. It was one of the early Memorial Award events that a large crowd and a very noisy crowd gathered at the decathlon. And Steve came up to the microphone and did a very pronounced shh, trying to get everyone to settle down. Well, finally, everyone got it, and then you could hear a pin drop. And here's what he said. He looked around, and he said, "The cult is in session." Hockey is a cult. Cannon dubbed himself King of the Kilohertz, Prince of the Airways. His show from the basement studio at WCCO Radio featured Cannon bantering with his characters Ma Linger, Morgan Mundane, and Backlash LaRue. Before joining WCCO, he worked for 13 years as a morning show host at rival KSTP AM. Cannon grew up in Eveleth on Minnesota's Iron Range. He was inducted into the Minnesota Broadcasting Hall of Fame in 2002. Steve Cannon, may you rest in peace.
All right, if Cy's cramming for the finals, I think he's passing with flying colors so far. And I grade on a pretty tough curve, too, I might add. Thank you, Cy, for those thoughts. That is it for the first portion of our program. We're now going to let you sit back and enjoy your meal, and then the program and the awards ceremony will get underway in just a little bit. In the meantime, enjoy your meal, and we'll be back in just a little bit.
Back in his day, the marquee would read, "Hobey Baker plays tonight." The adoring fans, jamming the arenas, would rise to their feet when he entered, calling, "Here he comes! Here he comes!" So graceful, so strong, so fast. Rounding his net, golden hair flying, dashing up ice through the slashes and the body checks with undying strength. But the biggest muscle in Hobey Baker's body was always his heart. Ruthlessly hammered by opponents, after every game, he would visit the opposing team's locker room, often limping from their blows to shake every hand. The smile on his face telling the love of every challenge, the joy of every contest. He was called the wonder player of hockey, the most charismatic athlete of his time. The Boston Globe called him, without a doubt, the greatest amateur hockey player ever. When World War I broke out, he became a fighter pilot, battling in the skies as he did on the ice, earning medals for exceptional valor under fire. But just before he returned to a hero's welcome in America, he was killed testing a repaired aircraft. A national day of mourning marked his death. Hobey Baker was the very embodiment of all that is good in the game of hockey, an ideal of American excellence, and he still is. There remains no finer example of a true sportsman. We may never see his like again, but though a century has passed, Hobey Baker's spirit lives on, a true American hero for all time.
Again, that was a wonderful dinner. We're going to get on with our program. Again, not too long from now, we will be actually awarding the Hobey Baker Memorial Award to Matt Gilroy, but we got some business to take care of first. And you know, I've had the pleasure of having dinner with Matt Gilroy and his parents, and the reason it was such a pleasure was that I have found people who are nuttier than I am when it comes to building a backyard hockey rink. In fact, they admitted to me today that they were so tired of killing their lawn, as I've done on occasion, that this year they put their backyard, in quotes, hockey rink in their driveway. That means the cars stayed outside, the hockey players were using the driveway, so you couldn't even get into the garage. The good news is they didn't kill their lawn. So if you're ever in Massachusetts, they say stop on by, just bring your own skates, and they'll take care of you. Before we get to the Hobey Baker Memorial Award, we have a special honoree tonight, a legend of college hockey. And to introduce him, our legend, as you can see in your program, is Don Roberts from Gustavus Adolphus College. But a couple of guys are going to do the honors of introducing him, and I'm going to begin with Bernie Dusich, the captain of the team in 74-75, to come up and begin the introduction of our legend of college hockey. Bernie.
I'd like to start off by congratulating Matt Gilroy. I chatted with him briefly, and I did watch the game, as many of you have, and I told him that not many people with 15 seconds left with the puck in the high slot would dish it off. And it showed great poise as well as great trust. And Matt's comment was, well, he was open. And I said, yeah, he was open, but there wasn't much time left in the game. I played hockey back so long ago that we used wooden sticks and leather skates and no face masks. When men were men, I guess. And toothless, yeah. I looked at the list of past recipients of the Legends Award, and it reads like a who's who of college hockey coaches. And I thought of Coach Roberts, and I don't think anybody has had a more improbable path to get to the award that he's going to receive tonight than Don Roberts. He was a college basketball player. So 55 years later, from the hardwood of Gustavus, he sits here to get an award for his achievement in college hockey. And I thought about that, and you've got information in the program. If I had brought my glasses, I could have read it in great detail. But I saw it online, and I'll let you read about some of those things. But I wanted to talk about character. When we were visiting, or describing rather, Hobey Baker and describing this year's award winner, they talked about the athletic accomplishments and talents, but also, at least my take on it, was the character of the people involved. And I don't mean characters, because Coach who coached football and baseball will unequivocally say that the biggest cast of characters he has ever come across was coaching hockey. And I think other coaches here would probably share that. But I'm talking about something that we might describe as the steely resolve somebody has when facing adversity, or the willingness to do what it takes to get the job done, no matter what the obstacles. So I want to take you back to 1964. Don Roberts had coached football at Gustavus. It was the premier position at that time. It was a featured program, and he wasn't going to be the coach anymore. And so the administration gave him the job of coaching hockey. Now, I think Don had as much knowledge about the game of hockey as there would be in a thimble. And when he started, expectations were low. And unfortunately, he met those expectations. His first year, they went 0-14 in the league. They managed a tie against the weak Sisters of the Poor. He coached in overshoes. And actually, I can attest to this. Over the course of 33 years, he did actually become a serviceable skater as a hockey coach. But the most amazing thing is, the next year, they won the league. And they won the league 8 straight years. And so you wonder, how could somebody who didn't know the game of hockey, who went winless his first year out, start to recruit players that won the league 8 straight years? The answer, obviously, as a friend of mine said, he had the ability to talk a dog off a meat counter. Maybe only partly true. So his character was tested in 1964, and he passed in flying colors the following year. And from a coaching standpoint and a player's standpoint, what you have with Don is, what you see is what you get. He was straight with his players. There wasn't anything fancy or slick about him. There weren't any mind games that were played. He basically told you what you needed to do. And I think his real gift was the ability to get players to come there and to blend them together. And to play together, but to play for each other. And I think anybody who's in this room who's been involved in coaching in the game, and I'm sure just about everybody has, you really hit the pinnacle of team when your kids start to play for each other. And I think that was one of his gifts, was getting the kids there and getting them to blend in and to play together and for each other. He won many awards. He won many championships. From 1964, who would have predicted that he'd be in the game for 33 years and retire in 1997? A couple things that people probably don't know about were that he was involved in the community, started the St. Peter Hockey Association, was superintendent of the Sunday school on the church council, and then amazingly, for the last 27 years, he's taken a very untraditional approach to hockey camp. He started a hockey camp up in northern Minnesota near Grand Rapids at Camp Hiawatha. It's a church camp. And they had kids there ages 9 to 14, and for 27 years, Coach has been up there with these kids as part of a church camp, taken over to Greenway for the hockey camp. And it's just a marvelous thing for these kids and for the camp. We talked about character, and in this room, there's also the obvious feeling of success. We've got winners here from the past Hobey Baker Award. We've got the present winner. We've got coaches that have been extremely successful. But I wanted to close with a quote from a coach who was mentioned earlier, Tony Dungy. And Tony has been to the top of the mountain in his profession. He's also experienced probably the worst that those of us who have children could experience when he lost his son, who took his own life. But Tony talks about success, and I just want to read this to you. He says, God's definition of success is really one of significance. The significant difference our lives can make in the lives of others. This significance doesn't show up in win-loss records, long resumes, or the trophies gathering dust on our mantles. It's found in the hearts and lives of those we've come across, who are in some way better because of the way we lived. Coach, I want to tell you, I'm here with a number of your former players. We're proud to have played for you. We're prouder to have known you. And we are all better off for having known you. That concludes my remarks, and I think Brett Peterson is going to come up and then introduce Don.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bernie. First and foremost, to Matt and his family, congratulations on a wonderful season. To your teammates as national champions, Coach Parker, our National Division I Coach of the Year. What a tremendous year you guys had. To the Hobey Baker Committee, and especially I want to single out Bob Peters, who was very instrumental in pushing Donnie through on this wonderful night. And Bob's not here tonight, and I know Donnie had some great battles with Bemidji, and fun for all of us to see Bemidji in the Frozen Four this past winter. To our Gustavus administration team who's here tonight, our President Jack Oley, our Director of Athletics Dr. Al Moldy, our Sports Information Director Tim Kennedy, and all of our Gustavus hockey alumni that are here tonight to be with Don, and Don's family members and friends. You know, Don and I had lunch yesterday, and he was worried that no one would show. He said, he said, I'm not worth $150. And you're wrong. You're worth much more. As Bernie alluded to, you have quite a story, and it's a great story, and one that I'm very proud to be a part of. I have received many letters, emails, voicemails from our Gustavus hockey alumni family that couldn't be here tonight. One from Scott Peterson, Donnie, who played for you in the early 70s, currently lives in Reno, Nevada. Nobody deserves this more, Coach. It's just incredible what you have accomplished. Don, you couldn't even skate. I remember like it was yesterday, watching you stand on the cement floor in Braemar Arena and asking me, Scotty, how do I tie these things? It's truly one of the great stories in all of college sports. And that was from Scott Peterson. Donnie, by your own admission, you had limited knowledge of the game when you started coaching back in 1964. But one of the things Don did is he went to the library and he began reading books by the great Eddie Jeremiah, last year's recipient of this award. And Donnie began then telling the story and talking, as Bernie alluded to, but telling the story about this great little school in St. Peter, Gustavus Adolphus College. And still to this day, when we get together, the first question he asks me is, how's recruiting going? Meaning, how is the story going? The story that he has shared with me for so many times. Little did Don know when he retired 33 years later in 1997, he retired as the winningest coach in the history of Division III hockey, some 532 victories later. Quite an accomplishment. The other side of the story, thank you. The other side of the story, for me, is the person. A great husband of 52 years to his wonderful bride, Nancy, this June. Congratulations. Don is also a terrific father for his 4 children who are all here tonight. 3 sons, Tim, Greg, Mike, and daughter Susan. And how special it is. And I asked Donnie yesterday at lunch, the first thing that always happens, we always argue who's going to pay. And then he asked the first question, how's the story going? How's recruiting going? And then I came in and said, are you excited about tonight? And Don's response was, I'm very excited to see my family together. Don is so humble and unassuming, there are people on our campus that don't know the ice arena is named after him, including some of our women hockey players at Gustavus. One short story before I introduce Don. We were at practice this winter, and Don came up for practice with his black lab, as he so often does. Then we visited for a while, and then in the corner of our ice arena, we have a shooting target. And we had some of our women hockey players shooting during our men's practice. And Don walked over and introduced himself to the women hockey players and asked them where they were from, and they engaged in conversation. Then one of the young women asked Don, who are you? And he said, I'm Don Roberts. And above our scoreboard it says Don Roberts Ice Arena. And her eyes popped open, and she looked up at Don and said, you're alive! I give Don a lot of credit. Don comes on the bus with us, has not missed a game. And I know how hard it is to watch us play at times, and has not said one thing about this is what you should do, and he's just let our staff have space, and I truly admire that. The only advice Don gave me when I was hired at Gustavus, he said, Coach, you need to get a dog. And I said, what dog? He said, you need to get a dog. And I said, why? And he said, because at some point in time, your wife will turn on you, your kids will turn on you, you may have an assistant coach or other coaches on campus turn on you, but when you get home at night, that dog will be so darn happy to see you with that tail wagging. So I went out and got 2. Donnie, you've won a lot of games, 532. And I've often told you that someday I would like to break your record. But at the rate I'm going to have to coach till I'm 106 years old. But to me, what's more impressive than all your wins is the number of lives you have so positively affected. And to me, that is the best part of the story. It now gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce the 2009 Legend of College Hockey recipient, Don Roberts.
I asked Nancy this morning when I woke up, I said, Nancy, what am I going to say? I speak, and she says, just tell him that, you know, that you're an old coach and sit down. She's always been. I've got to tell a story. You know how sometimes, just think back in your life, how many times that you remember that were just little things that affected your whole life. A call here, a shake hand here, or whatever it might be. And I was thinking about that, and I thought about the time when I was a senior in college. I just got done with my practice teaching. I had, in a moment, I was going to be drafted, so I happened to go down and get coffee just on the spur of the moment, and they had a Marine Corps registration line, and geez, I signed up for the Marine Corps and officer school, and I walked by and thought, geez, what have I done? But that turned out to be probably the highlight of my career. And then it wasn't a couple weeks later that I got this telephone call. And had I not been in the door, and I had some great roommates, and I had not been in the office, we were off campus, and if I'd missed that phone call, because it was from a cute little co-ed, that her boyfriend was in Germany, and she needed a date because she was an officer in a sorority, and she needed an escort. And her roommate says, why don't you take Danny Roberts? He's got lots of girls, but he doesn't have any steady ones. And he's going in the service pretty soon, so why don't you take him? So she called up. And I said, sure. Then I thought, I'm broke. I don't have any money. So I went in, I was a biology major, so I went in and sold my books because biology books were expensive then, so I sold those. I got enough money to buy a corsage and fill up my 39 Chevy with gas, and I picked up this co-ed, took her to the prom, brought her back, came down, talked to my roommates. I said, I'm going to marry that girl. And I did. I want to thank the Hobey Baker Committee. They've been putting on this program for a few years, and I remember one time Timmy and I were here, and we got our picture taken with Bobby Hall, and we had a grand time then, and for the years after, it was all at the Decathlon Club at that time. And thanks a lot again, Decathlon guys, or the Hobey Baker guys, for making this quite an event. It's the biggest, really the biggest event in hockey. And I got to say, to Matt, congratulations to you. You're the star. We're the subs, but you're the star. And to Jackie Parker, who I knew when he was, watched in the penalty box a lot when he was playing. And I knew him as a kid. And I remember when I was president of the association, he and the guy from Maine, I think it was, they were going to fight. And I was sitting up there, now what am I going to do? I got no policemen there. These guys are going to fight. I said the best thing to do is let them fight and get it over with, and they'll be, that's with your kids. Let them fight, because if you separate them, you'll be mad and they'll be shaking hands. So that's what we did. But thank you, my alumni. I can't believe, it's amazing. The alumni that we have, and they're here tonight. And I wish I had time to go down the list and name them all, but you're great. Thank you very much for coming. I won't introduce the whole family, we go on, but my family's here, the most important, but I'm going to ask them to stand up. And Zachary, I know you're going to be a middle linebacker for the Denver Broncos. I know that for sure. But thank all the alumni. Would you please, all my alumni and all Augusties, please stand? So I could. And of course, Gustavus has been our home since 1952. We started as freshmen. Tuition was $500, I think, for the year. Girls had to be in at 9, and you took religion every semester. And chapel was compulsory. And when I came back to teach, I was, the young faculty would have to take chapel attendance. And if you missed chapel 3 times, you didn't just see the dean, you saw the president. And that was when Edgar Carlson was there. And it's so nice to see our president and his wife here too tonight. Thank you very much for coming. And I remember going to all these conventions. We went out to Boston. Like I said, that Snooks Kelly taught me how to speak Bostonian. So I got to be able to speak to people from Boston. And I met some wonderful people in coaching. I've been at football conventions. I've been at all the different sports, but the hockey was a different. I found out, not being a hockey player, I found out this is a different breed of cats. They're like my platoon in the Marine Corps. I mean, they was bad. You said go through that wall. There was no question. They went through the wall. I kind of like players like that. I'm sure you know. So I've got to say that I had good training to start with. But I also had good kids. The best way to beat anybody is to get better players than they got. I found that right off. That's always the key. And I always thought the best. Sometimes we lost, but most of the time we won. But I think character-wise, Brett, he really expounded on this, and he's right. The character is the most important thing in the coaching field. We don't know how much we really work with these kids, how much that we really can change their lives. It's kind of scary when you stop to think about it, when you're dealing with these young people, that what an impact you have on your life, and you got to keep that the idea of winning and losing and all these other things out of your mind a little bit, and remember how much influence you have on these kids that are going to have a lasting effect for their complete lives. And I think that the game, there's so much pressure. Jackie will expound on this. There's so much pressure put on these coaches now, and so much in the college ranks, and there's so much, especially Division I, where there's so much money involved, too, that we forget about really what the purpose of coaching is all about. Luckily, in small colleges, we still have that philosophy. The character, giving them a good education so they can compete in this world, and not getting them, when they leave college, they're trained to do something for society. But again, thank you for the Hobey Baker people. Thank you for my alumni. Thank you for Gustavus. Thanks for my family, especially my wife, Nancy. She made that phone call that changed our lives, I'll tell you that. So, and the MIC is a wonderful conference. I think this year it's never been better in all sports. Watched it in football, and in hockey and in basketball. There wasn't a game that you could either win or lose. And it's not life or death, but it's close as you can get sometimes. I know that. But anyways, the MIC has got their aim at going the right direction for the kids. And we make athletics a very important part of their life, but not their whole life. And help them out with these decisions. But again, thank you, Hobey Baker. Thank you for the winner. A wonderful game. I watched it too. And I watched our Gusties play at out east. And it was a real treat to get back to the old Lake Placid and see Herbie Brooks. And he was a good friend. And I was with him just shortly before the accident. He came down to Gustavus. And I remember Brett and I took him over, and Herbie said, "Brett, you got the best damn hockey job in the world," when we showed him the rink. And he was really, and Brett played at Denver, and he played with Herbie's son. They were the defensemen there. But Herbie, I knew when he was, you see his statue right out here. But I knew him when he was in high school, and he played at St. Paul Johnson. And I knew him when he was in college, and when he was the JV coach. I'd call his wife up, and we'd get into trucks, or these long wiener buses, we call them, drive up to the rink at the University of Minnesota and play as JV. So we could, Lee remembers this, we'd go up there and play as JV, and that was great practice for us. And the kids all knew one another, you know. They knew their JV players, and they knew ours because they were all being recruited or whatever, or they played against each other since Pee-wees. So Herbie was always for the little guy. He was always for youth hockey. And, he was a guy that really did a lot for hockey. And going to Lake Placid this year and playing in the Herbie Brooks Arena was a real, real treat. So thank you again. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
Congratulations again to Don Roberts. Truly a legend of college hockey, Don. Of course, most of that applause was for Nancy, who raised the kids while Don was at the hockey rink. I know full well how that works. We're now ready to get on to our next part of the main event, because certainly Don is as much a part of the main event tonight as our Hobey Baker Award winner is, because we're at opposite ends of the spectrum here in terms of where you are at your careers, but both of you mean so much to college hockey. We're going to start with a video from when the winner of the Hobey Baker Award was announced at the Verizon Center just last month at the Frozen Four. And Hank.
The 2009 Hobey Baker Memorial Award is presented to Matt Gilroy, Boston University.
Not many hockey stories will go down quite like the one that unfolded for Matt Gilroy of Boston University. It was literally a rags to riches story. 4 short years ago, he was a kid without a home. Having just completed his junior hockey eligibility with 2 years in the Eastern Junior League, Matt still had not received a single college offer.
I had no other options, and I asked them if I could walk on there, and they said yes.
Not only was he not recruited here, we tried to tell him not to come here. He wanted to walk on, and I told him that it wasn't a real good idea because we had too many right shot forwards. If you were a left wing, maybe, but if you were a defenseman, we could maybe have a spot fire. He said, "Well, I'll play defense." And I said, "You don't want to do that to yourself, Matt." He said, "No, I really want to come to BU. I want to go to school in Boston. Let me try out for the team on defense." And I said, "Well, okay, I'll tell you what, you can try out for defense, and you'll practice there all year, but we'll move you up your sophomore year so you can really try to make a team, And about the 4th game of the year, we were playing the U.S. under-18 team in the exhibition game, and I decided to play everybody who doesn't usually play. And I played Matt, and he was the best defenseman on the ice, and he's missed 1 game since then. So So I think it's been quite a story. And the fact that I tried to tell him not to come, and then the fact that I told him not to come back, I thought for sure he was going to sign a pro contract. And my advice was, I think you're ready to play. You want to go back. You want to leave at the end of your junior year. I think you're ready for the NHL. And he decided against that as well. So I'm doubly stupid and I'm doubly lucky to have Matt Gilroy on our team again. And as good as he's been on the ice, he's even better on me. Hard to measure. It's hard to tell people what a great captain he is.
Walking onto the team and converting from a forward to a defenseman, Gilroy finally had a chance while playing under one of the most successful coaches in history, Jack Parker. Gilroy culminated a brilliant 4-year career with the Hobey Baker Award on Friday and the National Championship Trophy the following evening. A truly incredible journey. Matt had several reasons to turn down multiple pro contract offers last summer in order to return for his senior season this year.
They gave me a shot when no one else would. The coaching staff would be Coach Parker, Quinn, and Davis. They didn't have to, and they let me switch positions. I was a forward, and then they let me play defense. And just playing against the guys on our team year after year, we had some great players, and it just developed me into a good hockey player, I guess.
Gilroy's leadership as a 3-year captain helped guide the Terriers to the Hockey East regular season and postseason championships. They also won the historic Beanpot Tournament with a 5-2 triumph over rival Northeastern. Along the way, Gilroy posted an extraordinary season, becoming the first defenseman in league history to be named an All-Star 3 times. He was also named the recipient of the Walter Brown Award as a top American-born college player in New England. Matt wore number 97 to honor his deceased brother, Timmy. Matt volunteers with the Gilroy family running a summer basketball league on Long Island and helps with the Autism Speaks program. Plus, he was a driving force behind the Star of the Game benefit, a fundraiser for longtime BU booster Merrill Starr Herman, who passed away after a battle with cancer. Matt is a management studies major, will graduate this summer, and completes his career having played in 145 consecutive games. This year, he was tied for second in the nation in scoring by defensemen, picking up 37 points in 45 games. Following his college season, Matt signed a 2-year pro contract with the New York Rangers, meaning he won't have to travel far from where he grew up on Long Island. Matt, the Hobey Baker Award Committee congratulates you on a fantastic 4-year ride. All the best going forward.
Now my distinct honor to introduce the man who was going to introduce our winner, his coach, who in his career has won more than 700 games. And if you think about the guy at this table and the guy at this table, between the two of them, that's more than 1,200 college hockey victories. That is absolutely astounding. And they're in the same room tonight. A lot of people probably don't know this about Jack Parker. He's the director of all the athletics at Boston University, so he's a little busy with that. And then on the side, he just wins NCAA Frozen Four championships. Without any further ado, let's call up Jack Parker, head coach of the Boston University Terriers.
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here in St. Paul. A pleasure to be back at another Hobey Baker Award banquet. I was here for Chris Drury, obviously, in '98 at the Decathlon Club, and that was quite a show, and this is just as good, if not better. So congratulations to the Hobey Baker Award Committee, to the Hobey Baker people for putting on another great show. Congratulations to Donnie for well-earned accolades here tonight. I think he's got the wrong guy if he thought I was getting in a fight with somebody. I haven't been in a fight since the first grade picnic. And she was tough, Donnie, believe me. Gustavus Adolphus, and this year we were going to the Frozen Four, and we were at the same time about to hire a new basketball coach, and I was having meetings with my president, supposedly about the basketball situation, and we had 3 different meetings. And in the course of the meetings, he must have mentioned to me at least 15 times, "Who's Bemidji? Where's Bemidji? Has Bemidji ever beaten anybody? Who is Bemidji?" And he must have, he kept going. We're talking about basketball, I thought. And finally I realized, if we would ever lose to Bemidji, I'm going to lose my job. Donnie when I first started coaching, Donnie was the coach at Gustavus, and I thought he was around a long time before that. I thought he had been there for quite a while. He's 33 years coaching at Gustavus, and I am now 36 years coaching at Boston University. So to keep it on the political theme, as we talked about, as was already mentioned, we're glad there's no term limits. Nobody's coming after us. So, Donnie mentioned Eddie Jeremiah and the book. To this day, I still have that book, and it's not really relevant in a lot of ways. But I knew Eddie Jeremiah as a coach at Dartmouth. He was from my hometown in summer when there weren't a lot of hockey players coming out of my hometown. And I'll never forget the book and the smart, sneaky look. Do you remember that, Donnie? They had the pictures. This is how we weren't really that caught up in the game of ice hockey in those days. They had pictures to show you how to play in the book. And one of them was the dumb look. And the other was the smart look. And then there was the smart, sneaky look. We learned a lot from that book. And I'm of the same ilk as Don. I believe the same way. You want to win a lot of hockey games? Get off the bus with the best team. And we did that for a number of years at BU, and we certainly did it this year. I appreciate the remarks earlier on, the invocation, so to speak. And I remember sitting in Minneapolis one time, and on TV they were interviewing Muhammad Ali long after he was the champ, after he had fallen sick. And somebody said to him, "What are you doing these days, champ?" And he said, "Just trying to get to heaven." And that's a pretty good deal for all of us. As far as Tom's remarks about pulling the shirt over the guy's head, in Massachusetts, the Democrat would be beating up the Republican, believe me. It wouldn't be the other way around. I appreciate the Wild's help in this, in keeping this alive now that decathlon is gone. I think it's great that the pro team is so involved with amateur hockey like this, and obviously a lot of the Hobey Baker Award winners went on for great careers in the NHL, but I think it's terrific that the Minnesota Wild is doing what they're doing for this organization. A few stories, if you don't mind, before I get to Matt. I walk in here tonight and I see a lot of familiar faces, like Murray, like Donnie, a bunch of people from the Hobey Baker Award that were here, that have been here for a long time. I played for a guy named Jack Kelly, who was a very great college hockey coach at Boston University, and when I played, most of our guys were Canadians from the Toronto area, so we had an 80th birthday party for Jack, and it was like a golf tournament. It was a whole weekend, and at the end of it, we had a little banquet, and I spoke, a couple other guys spoke, and then Jack got up to speak, and he got to the mic and he said, there are 3 stages in life. There's youth, there's middle age, and there's you look good. And everybody I saw tonight said, "Jack, you look good." That's a bad rap these days. I noticed the little trophies they gave out to the Hobey Baker people who received their awards tonight, the small images of the Hobey Baker trophy itself. I was thinking to myself, the guy that made those trophies must have made the Herbie statue out front, huh? I always thought Herbie was bigger than life. You got him about 5'6" here. To me, he was bigger than life, believe me. And finally, with regard to, a couple of things. One, I was speaking to Mrs. Gilroy earlier when we were being introduced to a lot of people, and she said, "Isn't everybody so nice here, And it reminded me of a story. One of my great players when I first started coaching in the early 70s, a guy named Mike Fiddler, and he wound up playing for the Minnesota North Stars. He was the first guy I ever had leave school to sign a pro contract, and he was a great player for me. He came from Charlestown, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, real tough neighborhood, real tough kid in a real tough household. And when he finished playing with the North Stars, he got his degree from the University of Minnesota, and he stayed out here in the real estate development business and was pretty successful. And then he opened up an office in Boston. I saw him back in Boston a few times, and And then he told me when I saw him one day, he said, "Did I tell you I'm moving back to Minneapolis?" I said, "No, why? Business not going well here?" He said, "No, actually it's going pretty well. I think we're going to keep the office open." I said, "How come you're moving back?" Excuse my language. He said, "Because people here suck." Now, he grew up in Boston in one of the toughest, but he was exposed to the nice people in Minneapolis for too long, Midwest too long. He couldn't stand Boston anymore. And Mrs. Gilroy and the Gilroy family are originally from New York, which is worse than Boston. So we really get astonished when we come out here and everybody holds the door for us, you know. And finally, I saw Chris Snow here. And Chris Snow is the Director of Player Personnel for the Minnesota Wild. And he's been here for a while now, but before he took this job, he was the beat writer for the Boston Red Sox. He was with the Red Sox for a year and a half as the premier beat writer on the Boston Globe, the premier paper in town. And the day he takes the Minnesota Wild job, the Red Sox are playing, of course, and it's all over the city, and it's all over the clubhouse. Hey, did you hear about Chris? Chris is going to the Wild. I didn't even know he knew anything about hockey. How do you get that? Everybody talking about it in the Red Sox clubhouse. And it's going on and on. 15 to 20 players just can't get over it. And Manny Ramirez walks in and says, "Who's Chris Snow?" So that's not a rap against Chris. That just tell you who Manny is, and Manny's in the headlines again. But I knew who Chris Snow was anyway, so nice to see you again. The final thing I'd like to give you before I get to Matt is a little advice. There's a lot of hockey people in the room, and we have made a mess out of hockey in the state of Massachusetts, and I hope you guys don't follow suit here. We have made a mess out of it because we got kids playing too many games. We got too many kids playing 60, 70 games. My weight training and conditioning coach's daughter at 8 years old played 54 hockey games last year. They're playing in the summertime. They're not getting a chance to play other sports. And it has absolutely gone to the point where my major recruiting areas now are Texas and California instead of the state of Massachusetts. And I'm just letting you know that I don't think that's happened here yet. But if you let parents too much involved, you'll get it happening here. So you better keep hold of what you got because you're still developing a lot of great players in the state, and I hope you continue to do it. Mike Boyle, my strength and conditioning coach, is one of the most famous guys in that area in the United States for the sport of hockey, and he was down at the coaches convention this past year, and he was talking about this problem, and he told the crowd, he said, "I get a lot of people because of who I am. I get a lot of people call me parents of 7 and 8 year olds. They call me and they ask me. They show up in my office and they ask me. They write me letters and they ask me. And what they want to know is, what can I do for my son? And I tell them, buy him a bike and get him some friends." And that seems to have disappeared for kids these days. So if you can do something for your child, take advice from there. I have talked about Matt Gilroy for quite a while here over the last couple of months. I have talked about Matt Gilroy as the captain of our team and how, because our team was going so well, and I had to give the accolades to our senior class, especially our captains, of which Matt was the co-captain, obviously. I've talked about Matt since he's gotten the Hobey Award, and I've talked about Matt since we won the national championship. And I don't get tired of talking about Matt Gilroy. I've had a lot of great hockey players in my time, and a lot of great competitors in my time, and a lot of great leaders in my time, and he's up there with the best of the best, without question in my mind. And for him to receive the Hobey Baker Award this year was, I don't know if you noticed, but when they announced it on film here, I saw it happen. I was there. I started clapping again. Said, I'm so happy that Matt won the award, and I can't agree more with your committee. You got the right guy. You definitely got the right guy, for the reasons that were described up here. Matt Gilroy has been a really skilled offensive defenseman for us from the day we started to let him play. But Matt Gilroy wanted to be more than that. He instantly was a real important player for us, but he wanted to be more than that. And he kept getting better and better. And even after I told him he should leave at the end of his junior year because he was ready for the NHL, he came back for his senior year for a lot of reasons. The most important reason was he wanted to do it right. He was always doing the next right thing. I had told his mother, because I knew Mrs. Gilroy was concerned about Matt graduating, and I said, look, this is not a problem. He can leave here. He's a junior. He's caught up with his classes. He can leave here. I guarantee you he will graduate. There's no question in my mind he will graduate. I've had a lot of people leave Boston University at the end of their junior year, and every single one of them got their degrees. I never had anybody leave at the end of their freshman year or sophomore year who got it, but every single player at the end of their junior year got their degree if they left at the end of the year. So that won't be a problem, Mrs. Gilroy. And she looked me square in the eye and says, that's not the only reason why he's got to be here. He came in with John McCarty. He came in with Brandon Yip. He should graduate with those guys. He's their teammates. He's their classmates. He should graduate with them. Now, if you haven't met Mrs. Gilroy, she can put you back on your heels a little bit. You think Mr. Gilroy, because he's the big guy in the family, is the intimidating guy, but he's not. And she had me back on my heels because she was absolutely right in a lot of ways. She was right in the fact that do the next right thing, Matt. Complete what you started, and that's what he did. And he did it with, obviously with great results in his senior year. He was really skilled. He was really determined to be better and better because he kept working harder at defense. He kept working harder at becoming a better defenseman. He sacrificed his offensive skills sometimes to make sure he took care of defense, especially in his senior year. He got better and better in that. He was a fabulous captain, and I already alluded to, if all he did was be captain this year and didn't play a game, it would have been a great return for us. He was a fabulous captain. But the thing he was a little bit different than any other captain I've ever had, and it made us illegal this year. I hope the NCAA is not listening, okay? Because you're allowed to have a head coach and 2 assistant coaches and a volunteer coach on your staff. Well, we cheated. We had another coach, and that was Matt Gilroy. And he coached us on how to become better coaches and how to handle our players individually better, to handle our team better. And I know that I was a better coach this year because I coached Matt Gilroy. He made me a better coach. So not only was he great in all the other areas, he took care of the staff as well. We're going to miss him. You might feel that. And I can't talk him back. I can't kick him out, and I can't talk him back anymore either. So we're going to miss him greatly. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do what he did in his 4 years coming from where he came from, and we'll probably never see his likes again. Matt Gilroy, Hobey Baker.
Well, thank you, Coach. Never heard you say so many nice things about me. Thank you. First off, I'd like to congratulate our Coach Roberts. This is both our nights. No one outdid anyone here. And getting to meet you, a special person, special coach, but I have to listen to you talk and your players talk. It's an unbelievable guy you are, and I'm happy I've met you. Thanks. First, I'd like to congratulate my Hobey hat-trick partners, Colin and Brad, who've both gone on to careers now in the NHL, hopefully. Brad was an unbelievable competitor. He gave us many games that we couldn't score goals on him, and just a heck of a competitor. And Colin, I said it when I won the award, if it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be up here. Same with him, he wouldn't have been there either. He was a tremendous player, and I wish him luck with Nashville. Next, I'd like to thank the Hobey Committee. From D.C. to tonight, you guys have been first class to my family and I. I mean, it's not easy getting the 8 of us kids on the ice to watch their brother, get an award, and you guys found a way, and that meant a lot to my parents and I. Special thanks to Hans and Lance for you guys being unbelievable for me and my family with travel, with the awards, with pucks. I mean, Hans has given us so many pucks. I got so many pucks to give out now. My brother's going to be pumped. And just what they do for the name of Hobey Baker. He's a legend. What a guy he was. What a hockey player. But most importantly, what a person he was, and how he carried himself. And they carry on that tradition, and it's special to be part of that now. Just a few groups of people I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank my teammates. What we did this year was a team thing, and I know, fortunately enough, I got a lot of individual awards, but if I wasn't a BU Terry this year, there's no way I'd be up here tonight. What we did together as a team, we blocked out every individual award, stat, agent, coach, even our own coaches at sometimes, NHL teams, and we just focused on being a team, being buddies, and we won every championship we could, and I think we cleaned up all the individual awards, and I thank them for everything. Next to my coaches, Coach Babo and Coach Quinn, who aren't here tonight. Coach Bavis gave me a phone call a few years ago that changed my life. He was the one who invited me to BU. I was actually, we were up in Maine, me and my dad, and we had no phone service. I was up visiting a school up there, and my phone shut off. And I had, by the time I got back to the New Hampshire border, I had 4 messages from my junior coach and 3 from Babo, like, don't commit, we want to talk. And thank God I didn't win the next day, and they offered me a spot. Coach Quinn, I wouldn't be a defenseman if it wasn't for him. What he's taught me defensively, I've never had a defensive coach. And every day, it was a battle with him. I'm kind of a stubborn kid, and I go back at it with him. But he worked with me, and he made me the defenseman I am. And last but not least is Coach Parker. There's so much I could say about him. But, the most important thing is he gave me the shot when no one else would. I was looking for that chance. And he was the one who put his neck on the line, a legend, and he did it. And the most important thing to know about coming into BU and playing under Coach Parker is when you come in, he preaches about being a BU hockey player. And a BU hockey player is not only a hockey player who excels on the ice, but is a good person. And I came in there as a hockey player, and I'm leaving as a BU hockey player because he challenged me not on the ice, but off the ice to be a better person. And that's what makes Coach Parker such a great coach and a great person. And last but certainly not least is my family. I have a big support system in my house, my family, my immediate family, but I have this one guy that I like to refer to as my crazy uncle, and that's my Uncle JR who's here tonight. He's my biggest fan. He's been there through thick and skin, and he's been there when I was down, and he's been there when I'm up, and JR, thank you for everything. My brother and sisters who couldn't be here tonight, they've missed so much school, traveling around watching Kevin and I play. My sister Shannon always yells at me because I don't give her credit, so I'll give her credit now. Last year when I was leaving school, I was thinking of leaving school. I was thinking about it, the NHL, like it's a dream come true. But first time I come home to talk to my parents, my sister Shannon's there. And Shannon, my mom's intimidating, you think, Coach, you talk to Shannon. She's got a lacrosse stick, and she's right in my face, and she's pointing at me. She's like, you started something at BU. Kevin's going there. You're going to be captain. I'm not talking until you go back to school. It took me 2 weeks to make my decision. I didn't talk to my sister for 2 weeks. But I thank them and especially my brother Kevin, getting to play with him this year, winning a national championship with your teammates, but having your brother in the locker room too is something special. And I'd like to thank my mom. We've been through so much. I mean, you have personally with our family and whatnot, and I've never met a stronger person, holds everything together. She's in charge of 8 crazy kids who play every sport, school, musical instruments, and I've never heard my mom talk about herself being sick, being tired. It's always us first. And Mama, thank you for everything. I love you. I'd like to also thank my dad. Since I've been a little kid, my dad always told me if I wanted something, go get it. And if you want to get it, you got to work hard. And I remember the saying when I was little, he would always ask me, can you look yourself in the mirror? And I didn't understand it back then. And as I got older, he'd tell me, he's like, can you look yourself in the mirror every night and know that you did everything you could that day to get better as a person, as a hockey player, as a student. And it's something I live by. And he taught me he's taught all of us, my whole family. And Dad, thank you for everything. And just again, Coach Roberts, congratulations, and thank you for the committee, and everyone enjoy their night. Thanks.
I'm glad Matt didn't go very far because we have another presentation to make to you. He was telling me that the Hobey Baker award weighs, 40 pounds, did you say? And I said, well, now, did you get one of these when you won the award in Washington, D.C.? He said, no, you don't get it till get your name put on it. And I said, well, what'd you get? A handshake. So that was good enough for him at the time, but he likes to have the hardware. A little too heavy to haul up here. But come on up here, Matt. We're going to have a presentation of a commemorative ring, and we have Peter Freyling from Jostens here to make that presentation.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. So Again, Jostens is truly honored to be part of a real legacy with Hobey Baker. And I'm excited to be here, and truthfully, on behalf of Jostens, what I'd like to do is thank the award committee for giving us the opportunity to be part of this incredibly important tradition. So, Jostens really takes great care and passion in helping people express themselves, helping people celebrate their experiences, their traditions, helping people recognize their achievements, and of course, share their stories, right? So the Hobey Baker Award ring is actually crafted to represent a hockey rink, and it's got a sculpted casting of Hobey Baker on top of a smooth white stone to represent that hockey rink. And that hockey rink, of course, is surrounded in diamonds, Matt, in case you were wondering about that. So on one side of the ring, it features Matt's last name by the Hobey Baker crest, along with the phrase, "Character builds excellence." On the other side of the ring, it represents Boston University and the BU Terriers mascot and the year 2009. So Matt, your season was filled with some absolutely incredible achievements. And it's an honor for us to be part of this rich tradition, and it's truly an honor for us to recognize your achievements by presenting you with the official Hobey Baker Award ring. Congratulations, Matt. Put that on, maybe they can get a photo with
And now here is Committee Chairman Lance Madsen.
Just a little addition onto the program here. We have a special presentation from Ronak Shah from Mazumba.
Unfortunately, this doesn't have diamonds on it. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Coach Roberts. Being a MIAC alum, didn't get to many hockey games, but I did get to a few gusty barn parties. So I was... You go to those things that are important. Yeah. And Chris Snow, I know you're in the building, and I know Jordan's here. As a Minnesota company, as a Minnesota Wild fan, it'd be great to see Jordan in a Wild jersey. I'm just saying. So without further ado, I would like to present Matt a jersey that we created for you. And actually, it may not have diamonds, like I said, but I did drive 380 miles today to get you this jersey. And if anyone knows me, I hate driving. So let me present you with this. It is a official Hobey Baker jersey. Oops. Let me get this up here. There we are. And for you, we got your name and a special number for you. Thank you. Just a quick thing. I've seen two incredible hockey games in my life. The first one obviously was Miracle on Ice. The second was being at the Frozen Four, watching BU come back with 17 seconds left and tying Miami, who I just felt horrible for. I mean, honestly, I mean, Coach Parker pulling your goalie with 3 minutes left, going out there and really hammering them, that was either brilliant or stupid. I don't know which one it is. But we're gonna err on the side of brilliant. And seeing that game, I actually was Twittering during the entire game, and I was new to Twitter. We can thank Joe over here for that. I was Twittering and had 2,000 people following me during the Twitter. And at 17 seconds, when they scored the tying goal, I was like, oh my God. It was just unbelievable, the excitement, the way that the team actually rallied and came back. I mean, they did great against Vermont, but honestly, in the national championship game, to come back with that much passion, fervor, to tie up the game and ultimately win it, that is a testament. And Matt, they're absolutely correct when they keep saying that you are the right guy. Because when you look at your story, you look at your history, and honestly, the key thing here is perseverance. Perseverance is a trademark of what you're doing, And quite honestly, it's what your team did, and under your leadership, I can only congratulate you for your national championship in the way you carry yourself. And quite honestly, this award was actually, if it wasn't Hobey, maybe we can call it Matt Gilroy Award. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And by the way, Matt, I saw your mom's eyes light up when the word diamonds came out. So if you need someone to keep an eye on that ring for you, I bet she'd be happy to. Just a hunch. We are just about done here. It has been just a wonderful evening. Just a couple of closing remarks about Don Roberts and just the brief time I've known you and your wife, Nancy. Nancy is just delightful, and I can tell that she's been at your side. She has been every bit as responsible for your success, really, as any of your players or anything else. So I always think hockey moms ought to be pointed out the things that they have done, because it is just remarkable what they do for their kids and for the husbands who were involved, and so you are to be congratulated as well. And Don, I mentioned to you earlier, my brother Jim was a captain of the St. Thomas hockey team, played against you many times in the late 70s, and he had a lot of great stories to tell me, but the one thing he said that stuck with me was that you always had to come ready to play against Gustavus. You could never take a night off, and I think that's probably the highest compliment that anybody could pay to you. So the Gusties should be very proud of that, and that's tough coming from a Tommy. But and finally, Matt, it's interesting, when I named my oldest son Hobey back in 1993, a lot of people kind of raised their eyebrows and they said, "Aren't you putting a lot of pressure on a kid? It's like naming him Heisman or something." And there's a little pressure on his shoulders. But I didn't name him Hobey because I expected him to win the Hobey Baker Award or be a great NHL star. I named him Hobey because I loved everything that Hobey Baker stood for. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not only a passionate sports fan, but also a passionate history fan. And it's amazing how often sports and American history intertwine. Hobey Baker is a perfect example of that. He was one of the original All-American boys. He was a great student. He was a great citizen. He was courageous. When you read about his exploits in the dogfights during World War I, and remember, they were essentially flying paper airplanes back then with machine guns mounted on them. And he was fearless. And he was a great guy, by all accounts. Hobey Baker was a great guy. I wanted my son to grow up being a good citizen. I wanted him to be a good student. And I wanted him to be an athlete who enjoys the sport, not because he achieves it at the highest levels, but because he loved it for the sheer love of the game, as I can tell you do. And it's the same with Bill Watson, Jordan Leopold, Brian Bonnen, the other Hobey Baker Award winners who were here tonight. That's what it's all about. You epitomize what the Hobey Baker Memorial Award is all about. So congratulations once more to Matt Gilroy. Again, I'm just proud to have my son named after such fine people who win this award, and it's something I know my son is very proud of as well. Now, without any further ado, the overtime, remember we talked about overtime earlier? It continues in John's Bar right about now. Have a great night, everyone. Appreciate your coming, and thanks to the Hobey Baker Memorial Committee, including Lance Madsen, the chairman. Thank you all. Have a great night.